Oh, now I'm self-conscious. Now it sounds stupid.
Well, man, just do it and we'll take it from there.
Alright. Greetings, ghouls, goblins, and all ghastly things in between, and welcome to a very special episode of Playing Favourites. On this grim Hallows Eve, I, Luke, shall be your host for the journey into our favourite spooky tales, from urban myth to internet legend. But I will not do it alone. I will also be joined by, of course, your favourite co-host, Harry. Please, Harry, speak.
Hey, everybody! Oh, I've just floated in from Spooksville here to hold your ears and your brains in this Hallows Eve.
I wasn't planning on making it a particularly spooky intro, but
special. Well, I mean, you kind of made it sound like at the end of the last episode that you were going to change the intro forever.
Well,
is this the new intro for every episode, or is
we'll see. I might just write a new one for each episode. It didn't take me that long.
There is no way that you're going to write a new Luke Cobb. There is no way I can see you writing a new intro per episode.
All right, I know what you're doing. You're baiting me.
Maybe
you're challenging me.
Maybe a little bit.
I won't fall for it.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see. When it turns out the next episode is like, wallpaper colours. Let's see, like, what you conjure up. What creative little paragraph you can conjure up then when it's something less thematically interesting.
Alright, fair enough. Fair point.
But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not gonna deter you too hard.
Anyway, it's Halloween, I assume. Well, it might not be Halloween.
It's Halloween. If you listen to this, it goes up. Happy Halloween. Hope you're having a spooktacular time. We're here to talk about spooky stories, is the wording for today's episode?
I believe it is spooky stories. I believe we left it as intentionally vague as possible.
Which, is like... Because to be fair, last year, for people who listened to the Halloween special last year, what we ended up talking about was, the kind of mythos
just
behind
anything
Halloween.
To do with Halloween.
Yeah, and because that's what it's about, right? It's about this. It's the season of spook, and all things to do with feeling afraid and scary monsters and things of the like. So I think just basking in that is like a pretty solid formula for a Halloween special.
Scary. No.
Yeah. What makes people afraid? Because the idea, right, is that the core element of fear is it all links back to death and self-preservation. There's a weird little rabbit hole to go down. But any kind of scary...
Is that why I am afraid of buying cereal at the supermarket?
Yeah, it's afraid about asking, the shop assistant where you can find the deodorant is, because it all ties back to that.
Because they might kill me.
Yeah, in a blind bloodlust. No, because it all ties back, scary masks or ferocious animals or the dark because you don't know what's in it. It all ties back to that unknown and that unknown possibly being dangerous. And that's why... I don't want to go to the hairdressers.
I too am afraid of the hairdressers.
So
I am scared that they're going to Sweeney Todd me.
I like the idea that this episode, it's all about spooky stories, and those spooky stories are like, one time when I was 7, I couldn't find the coloured pens for school, and so I had to go up to this frightening bearded man in Tesco and ask him where they were, and he didn't know what I meant, but I didn't want to clarify. So when he led me to the jars of mayonnaise, I didn't bother questioning him.
And bought an entire jar of mayonnaise. Bought that whole stock.
And that's the scariest. That would be quite a fun twist on the.
And on
twist.
That mayonnaise bottle, I saw a dark portent. From Hellman's.
Oh my god, we could turn this into a whole thing. It sounds like modern, relatable Gen Z.
Harry, no, you skipped over my Hellman's joke.
Hellman's. Oh, okay. It's a pun off the popular brand name of mayonnaise, which might just be UK only. I don't know.
Hellman's.
Is this really the first thing we're Googling in this episode? Is we're on Hellman's mayonnaise?
Move on.
It's one hell of a fucking Halloween special. Jesus Christ. So, okay, how about this, Luke? Mm-hmm. What do you think is the kind of thing that makes a good classic scary tale?
You were doing this is backwards. I'm supposed to ask you these questions.
Oh, for God's sake! Hey, we mixed
it up
last time.
And then you complain about it every time.
Look, we're doing this whole like topsy-turvy new intro. Like,
Okay,
you know,
remember, this
it's all over the
episode
shop.
was actually recorded on an opposite day.
That's what it's like. We're in like a oh my god, it's all like psychological, Luke. It's like we're in a spooky house of mirrors.
We're trying to put
Twisted
people off
and,
by
and
like
backwards.
twisting all the, and we're gonna gaslight our listeners.
Yeah, we'll do like play a record and it'll all be wrong and like incorrect.
It's all clearly wrong.
But it'll be disorienting and it'll throw people off, and it creates this like House of Mirrors effect.
Anyway, so spooky story. Right. I actually did spend quite a lot of time thinking about this, because I realised that we'd left the question so vague that I didn't know what the hell we were talking about anymore.
Yeah, okay.
But I think I have some idea now.
Okay.
Generally, right,
Hmm.
I think a spooky story has to be something that the scares are part of the intent, right?
Oh my god. Okay, we're getting sciencey on this one. Okay. Scare is part of the intent, you say?
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
Like, it has to... a significant portion of this kind of media property, whatever it might be, maybe not media specifically, but, you know, you get it.
Okay.
It has to be dedicated to attempting to disturb or horrify you in some way. It can't just be like, you know, there's a jump scare. That's not...
Yeah. Well, in a
That's not
story you're
spooky.
telling someone.
Yeah.
You sat around the campfire and then the punchline of the story is you go, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
okay. I take your point. Yeah, I think yeah, it is like a punchline. It's like if you're telling a funny story and at the end you've got like a punchline, the zinger. No, but like, you know, if you're telling like some funny anecdote or whatever, you know, towards the end of the story there will be and that's when he said this, or and that's when this person walked in, and that's your punchline. Whereas in scary stories, it's like you reach the end and it's and then it turned out the dentist had been dead for 15 years.
That's just a scary punchline.
Basically, we can make a word here. What would be a good word for a spooky punchline, a spook line,
no
punchline, a
crunch line,
a hunch line, like the
haunt line,
a haunt line. But then it sounds like you're sort of riffing off of a hotline. Like it's, you know,
oh shit!
You can ring them up and get a scary story. Which
get a ghost at your house.
Gives me
It's the opposite of Ghostbusters.
Yeah, if you need a ghost installation, you call up the hotline.
Awful business property.
Yeah, oh my god, that's fantastic. So yeah, I would agree with you that it's got to be. There's got to be the point to it is it's to scare people or make them afraid or fearful or something along those lines. And like sometimes that can be in a bunch of different ways, because you get these ones where it's like with just horror as a genre, you get ones where it's like it's like psychological horror, where the entire thing you're setting up this sense of like, oh, this isn't right. Oh, that sounds terrible. What if it was me in that situation? And then you get somewhere there's a twist, and it's like, you know, which would be more akin to like perhaps like a jump scare or whatever, where it's like, and suddenly everything goes wrong, you know, and that's when he found the bloodied knife, you know, or the body under the bed, or something like that, and it's got that twist, which I think is probably the most common, like, and maybe a clue towards my favourite, because I quite enjoy that sudden twist of like, and that's when
the twist of the knife.
Twist of the knife. There you go. That's it's quite a nice little. I can see that being like a term used in the literary genre. The twist of the knife is like it's the haunt line. It's the moment of like, oh, you know.
Oh,
I quite like calling it that. The twist of the knife. You know, it's the moment when in the story it's like revealed that, you know,
it's now a scary story.
Yeah, like up until then,
everything before then could have been normal, but now scary.
Now
time.
It's scary time. Man, I like that. Okay, we're defining the genre here. Okay,
we've got the spooky part down, I feel.
Yeah.
What is a story?
Well, yeah, this is the thing. I was like talking to people about, like, because it is a very vague topic, and I think that like a spooky story can be. I think it's interesting because it can be both real or fictional. Like, there are classic ghost tales, but then also there are scary, like the anecdote I told last year about being at work and seeing
that wasn't real. It was fake.
Well, no, that was a true story that happened to me. I'm not saying I actually discovered a body when I was at my work and then it vanished. Like, but you know, it's a real thing that happened to me, and so it can take the form of anecdotes or myth or or whatever.
I think part of a traditional scary story, I believe at least, is that it is, even if the story itself is not true, it is developed upon as though it were true, right? Like, when you tell, like, spooky stories around the campfire, even if you're all aware that, like, it's not real and it's not true, there's always, you gotta at least give it a little bit of give and kind of that, suspension of disbelief, I suppose.
Yeah, true. Because then it's got to be, I suppose you could summarize that as it's got to be relatable. Like, if you're telling a scary story where, like, the hero goes to slay the dragon, and, when he's going up Mount Gondor, whatever.
Mount Gondor.
He's going up Mount Gondor, and
Mount Doom is the one you're looking for.
And he finally he encounters the Doomslayer, and it turns out that, like, he's a zombie. It's like, okay, it's not relatable. It's nothing. Yeah, I actually think
it's not really scary.
I think all. I would go as far as to say that is unanimously across all types of horror, across all types of scary fiction, it has to be relatable. Like, it has to be.
Even if I know it's not true.
Yeah. Well,
I would, like a scary movie. Like, I know if a ghost shows up, like, I'm like, that's not real. I don't believe in ghosts.
Yeah.
But, I don't know, when I saw The Woman in Black for the first time, I was pretty scared.
Yeah. And that's because it has, like, relatable elements. I've not seen the movie, but, like, if it takes place in, like,
Daniel Radcliffe in it.
Oh my god, he was Harry Potter.
He was Harry Potter.
And
very relatable.
And, there's a really scary story about scary wizards. No, it was like, if it's taking place in, like, a haunted house, we've all had that feeling of, like, being at home with all the lights off at 2 a.m. and you're creeping through and there's, like, a creaking, floorboard that, like, goes off randomly and you'd shit yourself.
You gotta run up the stairs when you turn the lights off.
And it's playing on that, it's drawing on that, it's saying, like, okay, what if that wasn't just the floorboards expanding or whatever, it was actually...
it was a real ghost?
It was a spooky clown man, like...
a spectre.
A ghoul or a phantasm.
How many words could we come up for ghost?
Ghoul, phantasm, spectre...
Ghoul is not a ghost. Scratch that.
Wraith.
That one's off. Wraith is good.
What's the one? Poltergeist.
Poltergeist, okay. Ghost.
We didn't do that one. Dead man.
Dead spirit.
Did
you say spirit?
Spirit. Soul. This house is full of souls.
This house.
There's all kinds of words. Tell you what.
Essence.
An essence, yeah. A horrible chill.
That's not a ghost, that's just cold.
Well, that's usually the thing, right? It's like, you feel like a
chill went down your spine.
What are the hallmarks of, like, because people always say the same thing, as if it's, like, fact, as if this is, like, established.
Cold air is the classic one.
Yeah, like breathing on the neck, like a presence.
If you're EDF monitor, what's it called? EMF?
EMF
monitor?
Yeah, electromagnetic. For some reason, it's just accepted by, like, ghost hunters that ghosts fuck about in the electromagnetic frequencies.
Ghosts are made of X-rays, I guess.
Yeah, and, like, you can detect them by, like, because the thing is that what's happening there is there's electromagnetism everywhere, and so you point your little reader in the general direction of, like, a power box.
Oh shit, it's beeping,
yeah.
bro.
Oh no.
They should do the same thing, but with Geiger counters.
So you're just searching for radiation.
Yeah.
They should just do that. They should.
Oh shit! There's a ghost.
Yeah. We just have
it's making all these growths appear on my hands.
You go to a nuclear power plant.
You're in Chernobyl. Oh my god! There's so many ghosts
There's
here.
A ghost wasteland. Yeah. Which to be fair, like you'd probably be like, it's probably quite cold there. You feel a cold chill on your neck. You feel like.
I would describe Chernobyl as pretty ghastly.
Yeah, ghastly the word. There you go. Like, yeah, I would. Yeah, that probably works. Is this culturally insensitive?
What, Chernobyl?
Yeah,
I don't think
like
it's
a real
culturally
disaster.
insensitive to say that, like,
that Chernobyl's full of ghosts
would be right. If I were a ghost hunter,
yeah,
which I'm not, I don't believe in ghosts. That might make me really good at ghost hunting. If I went to Chernobyl, I would find a lot of ghosts.
Metaphorically,
and, well, I mean, yeah, if I were a ghost hunter, I would believe they were real.
I'll tell you where you find ghosts, Luke. Pompeii.
Graveyards.
And graveyards.
Yeah, you're right. Pompeii would have a lot of them. Yeah, we could just keep naming disasters.
Well, yeah, because like Pompeii, you got that spooky element of you can see all their all the
There's
molten
ash.
figures and stuff. Have you heard about the Pompeii masturbating man?
Is he a ghost or
No,
is this a spooky story? Or
no, it's a brief aside while we're talking about Pompeii. Is the guy? He looks like he's having
in his final moments.
Yeah, but in reality, what it is it's probably that a lot of people would have died of like smoke inhalation and ash and things like that, and so their bodies would have sort of mangled and moved before their death, like whilst they were dying or after.
Or
he was going at it.
He was jerking it.
Yeah, and then he was covered in lava and ash.
And he got lavaed.
I mean, I would like if I was in Pompeii and imminent
you
death.
would.
No, I wouldn't do that. I mean, I would flip someone off, or I would
Oh, okay.
strike some kind of crazy pose. Especially because it's like 900 AD. Like in the future, everyone's.
You don't even know about cameras or anything at that point.
Yeah, I probably think it's the end of the world. So what have I got to lose?
That's a fucking really good point.
It's
I feel like if I was in a world-ending crisis now, I'd be too worried about doing something really stupid and ending up on
TikTok.
Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm dead, but everyone's like, what a fucking idiot.
Everyone's laughing at you. Whereas it's 900 AD, it's like fucking end times, What you got to worry about?
That's actually such a good point.
Anyway, bringing us slightly back on track after that weird deviation.
Breathe aside, Pompeii would be pretty spooky.
Pompeii, very, very spooky and scary. Volcanoes, natural disasters, full of ghosts. But
and Roman.
Full of... yeah, why not? But to bring it back on track slightly, I'll pull up the Wikipedia page for Ghost Story.
Okay.
A ghost story is any...
The anime. Oh.
No. A ghost story is any piece of fiction or drama that includes a ghost or something takes as a premise the possibility of ghosts or characters' belief in them. The ghost may appear of its own accord or be summoned by magic. Okay, if you like. I guess, Ouija boards.
Like a Ouija board.
Yeah, which we've both used and have experience with.
We have.
That last story did end with you splitting in half with a reenactment.
And me splitting in half?
Splitting it in half.
I got killed by a ghost.
Oh my god. Yeah, we anger it and then Luke is just severed by a ghostly blade. Yeah.
No, I have decapitated a Ouija board, yes.
Linked to the ghost is the idea of a haunting, where a supernatural entity is tied to a place, object, or person. Ghost stories are commonly examples of ghost lore, all one word.
It's kind of fucked up.
Come on.
The ghost story article on Wikipedia is classified as fantasy. It's on the right. It shows you as fantasy. What if I believe in ghosts?
Yeah, true. Well, I've gone to the ghost lore page, and it's one of these Wikipedia articles which like
ghost lore.
Yeah, all one word. It's like
they got different crimes and stuff.
No. Yeah, they have a ghost code of honor. And
I guess you can't get arrested for murder as a ghost, right?
Yeah, true. I don't know what. This would be a great Pixar movie. Ghosts behaving badly.
A ghost judge.
Yeah.
And, ghost court.
And they've got all these ghosts, little silly crimes and stuff where,
they got their own unique ghost crimes.
It's, Monsters, Inc. is all about, how they scare people for food or whatever. I haven't seen those movies, but, I think it's something
it's close enough.
Yeah. It's ghosts do a similar thing, but they're not allowed to scare adults or, they can't move anything.
You are literally just describing Monsters, Inc.
Yeah, but this time it's ghosts.
It's Monsters, Inc., but ghosts. But also this movie is set in a courthouse.
It's a court drama, but it's a kids' animated Pixar movie. I think it's got legs. I think this works.
I honestly don't hate it. I like the idea of ghost lore.
Yeah, I think there's a fun idea in here. But the Wikipedia page is much more disappointing and bland. It's very short and it's just talking about,
it's just talking about,
but the thing that called to me on the Ghost Story Wikipedia page is that it mentions some stuff we haven't really touched upon, which is supernatural fiction or weird fiction, Lovecraftian, Cthulhu, things like that.
I was going to get to that.
Yeah. So because I have at home this
you've got the
I've got the tome.
Necronomicon.
Yeah, I've got a collection of the complete works of H.P. Lovecraft, and all those stories again.
Renowned racist.
Yeah, he had a horrible dog.
Cat.
And but in the
cat was probably pretty alright.
Cat was probably alright. Lovecraft himself, not a good
bad
person.
name.
Yeah, bad at naming cats. and a terrible person. But the point I'm making is that it plays on like all horror, which I think it unanimously does. It plays on these innate fears. That was like Lovecraft's whole thing. It ties on that fear of the unknown.
That's because he was afraid of air conditioners.
I'm not even gonna.
Did you know this?
Wait, what was he?
This is not a joke.
He was afraid of air conditioners.
Okay. The thing about H.P. Lovecraft is he was legitimately, he was a sickly, young adult man who was genuinely afraid of everything.
Yeah.
Literally,
honestly,
everything.
That doesn't surprise me.
And one of his horror stories is about, it's called Cool Air. And there is, a whole thing about how, the main character hates air conditioners, and, it's fucking bizarre.
This is very funny.
H.P. Lovecraft, he had a mental breakdown when he found out he was part Welsh.
Oh god, a fate worse than death.
He's just a very bizarre man
who
was very afraid of literally everything.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's where a lot of his writing comes from.
Exactly, and the origin of that, I think it was Lovecraft himself, or maybe I'm paraphrasing this story slightly, but, the idea of existential horror and things like that literally comes from
a lot of
him,
it,
looking up at the sky at night and seeing the stars and feeling that smallness and that insignificance in the universe. Just recognizing that we are specks of dust on a rock that are, just a flash in the pan in the grand scheme of the universe. And that the fear instilled by that and what that means and, I don't know, means something or something.
Yeah, no, you're right. Again, literally, he was just, the man could not walk out of his house and be afraid. Not be afraid.
He would walk outside, look up, and then inspired a new genre of fiction centered around horror.
That's the thing, right? Okay, because I quite like Lovecraft's fiction.
Yeah.
And okay, let's get into it.
Yeah.
So a lot of people like to talk about how, disconnecting the author's beliefs from their work.
Yeah.
Can't do that with Lovecraft. He's a racist.
Yeah.
And half of the shit he writes is racist.
Yeah.
And that's why it's because literally, he's talking about oh dude, wouldn't it be fucked up if there was a big squid guy? And it's yeah bro, that would be fucked up. I can see why you were afraid of everything, because you are actually, You're off your rocker, mate. You've lost your marbles.
Just like to let everyone know that Luke did a degree in English literature, and I think
I did.
I think it feels like it's slipping through. It feels like those 3 years and 27 grand. Something.
Look, I've done my fair share of analysis.
Exactly, you're getting a professional opinion. I feel like you're the guest on this episode. That
Lovecraft.
Who knows what they're on about?
He's genuinely look. He inspired a genre of fiction that I really enjoy. I think existential horror, cosmicism.
Yeah. Oh my god. Okay.
And such. It's really interesting, and I do take great pleasure from the fact that it comes from one man who was just terrified of air and air conditioners. Importantly.
Yeah. I mean,
and the Welsh.
There you go. The three, you've got the fundamental forces of the universe. It's these are the fundamental forces.
Air conditioners and the Welsh.
Yeah, there you go. Very funny. To be fair, the only Lovecraft, I've got this massive tome. I haven't read much of it. I think I've read 2 of the stories. One of them is
which ones have you read?
To be fair, one of them was a bit naff. It was some old haunted mansion that and there's a curse, and there's some dude living in the basement.
There's a curse.
And he thinks there isn't a dude in the basement, but there is.
Is there any air conditioning involved?
And he goes downstairs into the basement, and it's full of old, unused air conditioners and a Welshman.
Okay, that's cool air. That one.
There you go. No, it's I can't remember what it is, but and the other one, the one I actually thought was quite good, is the first one in this particular collection I have. It's a guy he's on a cave tour, and he's wandering around, and he sort of breaks off from the group. And he's got this flashlight, and he doesn't want the flashlight to run out of battery. And so he's trying to be effective and recognize where he's in the cave. And then he hears a scream, but it's an animal scream, but not really. And then his torch runs out, so he's just fumbling his way in the dark. And then he can feel something in this particular cavern with him. And then eventually he finds his way back to the tour group, but then he's like, I wonder what that thing was, and then he goes back, and it's like this weird Yeti Bigfoot creature that looked like a man. In fact, I think the final sentence is laughable because it like says it's actually quite spooky and like quite reading it was effective. However, I just find it very entertaining because the final sentence is like he panned his flashlight down and he looked to realize that it was not a beast, but in fact a man. But the word "man" is in bold and italics and has 3 exclamation marks after it. Like we're in year 7.
Yep, that's a good one.
And it's like, all right, yeah, you've done a very good job making this spooky, but man,
I actually haven't read that much H.P. Lovecraft, but I will say, okay, so H.P. Lovecraft, he's got this kind of weird. Obviously, like a lot of his horror comes from like the
beast
right?
in the cave is what it's called.
Wow, very descriptive, to be fair.
Yeah, which to be fair, it is. So there you go. Sorry, I'll edit that anyway. Go on.
Yeah, he's got this kind of a cosmic horror that manifests itself in really mundane ways, right? Where, like, you know, there's really scary things that are totally unknowable. We could never fully understand. And also a big Yeti is here.
Okay, so this isn't just set up for more air conditioner jokes. And
no,
okay.
Not more air conditioner jokes.
Right, okay. Yeah, to be fair, it's quite mundane.
So there is a Japanese manga author.
Yeah.
Called Junji Ito, who, yeah. So he follows a very similar kind of methodology, and I find it a lot more compelling because it does not hide away from it.
Yeah,
there's very little like, you know, this thing is totally unknowable. It's a lot of like, wouldn't it be fucked up if this happened?
etc.
It makes it less scary, I think, but I find it way easier to engage with it because it's less pretentious, I guess.
Do you have an example of like a summary of a Junji Ito story?
My favourite Junji Ito story, probably the most common.
There goes favourite Junji Ito story off the list of topics for future episodes.
It's called The Enigma of Amagara Fault. I don't know if you've read. Have you read it?
No.
I thought you might. I have probably told you about it before. Is the thing.
Maybe.
I've probably told you to read it.
Okay.
It's really short. There's another thing that I really like about Junji Ito's works is most of them are like at most like 20 pages long.
Oh wow! Okay. No fucking around.
So
yeah,
and it's a manga, so it's all picture based.
Yeah.
But in The Enigma of Amagara Fault, essentially what happens, brief synopsis, no spoilers.
Thank you.
There is a earthquake, and after the earthquake, this kind of, what would I even call it? A fault. A fault in a mountain appears, and inside this fault are human-sized holes in the walls of the mountain.
Okay.
And it's about these 2 young people, and they go and they have a look at this, like, weird new natural kind of, what would the word be? Like a landmark, essentially.
Yeah,
It's just like a weird thing that's happened.
But a cultural landmark, you say?
Yeah, exactly. It's very cultural.
It's Junji's favourite.
But then people go there. People feel compelled to go there because they see these holes on the television, and then some of them think that the hole that they see is for them specifically.
Oh man, okay.
And then essentially this comes to a head where a character fucking strips naked and goes through one of the holes.
Man, okay.
And he just slips all the way through.
Feels very what is it into the earth?
Well, who knows? Don't want to spoil it.
There you go. Feels very Local 58. If you're afraid, we can look together. Sort of lying on the front lawn, looking up at the moon. Do you know what any of that means?
I had no idea what you were talking about.
Okay, never mind. If you want an internet rabbit hole, search for Local 58. I'll put an interesting video on the show notes. It's this like ARG kind of spooky television. It's basically like an art project, but it's like a spooky television channel that broadcasts very specific, weird, like programming. And if you put it together, you can kind of arrange this like alternate universe where so and so happened. It's just like an interesting little internet thing.
Yeah,
but worth checking out
for
people who would like extended spooks and do their homework when they listen to Play Heroes.
Extended scary.
Yeah. So look, I'm wondering if like I feel like we should probably move on to listener favorites.
Okay.
I'm just saying that because I feel like these are quite dense, and I feel like our favorites are going to be dense. And so
that's fair.
To give them the time to talk about, one or two of them, we should
Right, let's go. Listener favorites.
What we got?
All right, we're gonna start with this one because I want to talk about it.
Okay.
Because I have, it's my look. We'll get there.
Okay.
This one's from Afroman. Thank you, Afroman.
Okay.
Afroman has written Frankenstein.
Okay.
He said it's a good book and Frankenstein's cool.
Uh-huh.
Now, I assume, maybe I'm wrong. I assume he means Frankenstein's monster is cool.
Let's say, Luke, the story is called Frankenstein. Okay, you can't whip this one out. You can't whip this one out.
But no one's saying, "Oh, I love Dr. Frankenstein, bro. He's so cool."
No, but it's not.
Remember that bit where he makes the monster?
It's 2021. We're not doing Halloween Monster. We're not talking about Frankenstein. We're doing the story, and the story is Frankenstein,
I know.
or the modern Prometheus.
Anyway, I want to make a point about Frankenstein. Okay.
Okay.
It's not really scary, is it?
I don't read the book, but
Someone scary.
Someone takes a bunch of bits of person, puts them together, makes a new person.
Yeah, it could be scary.
It feels like one of those where it's like we didn't, humans were much dumber back then. We could get away with low key shit that wouldn't fly now.
I guess
It's like back then there wasn't any other horror really going on. So
it did pioneer a lot of horror elements, but I wouldn't call it very. It's not meant to scare you. You're not meant to read it and be like, "Oh shit, that's scary, bro."
Yeah, but
there's a lot of other points being made throughout the text.
But in the time it was written in the 1800s, what is it? I think
it was scary back then.
What's it competing with? What was horror like back then? Because
getting murdered by, I don't know, a serial killer on the street.
I mean, yeah, that would have been
I think that was
horror.
And
so it would be unusual and strange and alien to hear about
they had ghosts back then, Harry.
Yeah, exactly. And okay,
that's actually a big ghost era.
Okay, yeah, sure. So all of these things, and then all of a sudden a story about some weird giant man being pieced together from bits of human. That's unusual. That's unheard of. This is new to these people. As you said, it sort of launched this kind of. These sort of new themes of
gothic,
and
gothic horror.
Yeah, exactly. And so it was pioneering these kinds of ideas, and thus would have been new and engaging. And I don't see why it couldn't have been frightening to people in that era.
Maybe.
And also I'm a time traveler, and I went back and I checked. I asked a bunch of people. So
okay. You asked people if they were scared, and they were like, "Oh shit, bro, I'm scared that Dr. Frankenstein's gonna turn me into a big green man."
Time travel horror, is that a thing? That could be a good short story.
Dude, that would be. To be fair, that is kind of horrifying.
Time travel.
Yeah,
oh god, yeah. What
I'm looking up if there's any time travel horror now.
Yeah,
there's some movies.
What if you time travel into the future and humanity is just a bunch of weird bloated masses of limbs and.
I mean, that is literally the plot of
Futurama.
Well, not that literally. The Time Machine by H.G. Wells.
Yeah.
The plot of that is that he goes into the far future and sees the Morlocks and the whatever the fuck the other ones are called.
What does this all mean?
It's kind of scary, is what I'm saying.
Well, it's the future and what? There's a bunch of weird men.
Yeah, and they're humans.
Oh man, okay, that sounds kind of spooky. I think you could do spooky time travel
the menacing Morlocks, ape-like troglodytes.
That's what I've got you on my phone as on my contacts. Ape-like troglodyte.
It's got a good rhythm.
It does, yeah. That rolls the tongue quite nice.
And then there's the Eloi as well, who are cool.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I think you do.
Yeah, that's time travel, baby.
Why?
Anyway, we were talking about Frankenstein.
Yeah, in summary.
I just, look, I haven't read Frankenstein. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I was going to say I've read it. I've read Dracula, okay?
What? Okay. Yeah.
Which is written 81 years after. Oh, no. 79.
No one cares.
I just did my math wrong.
Okay.
And also is not scary.
Yeah.
I think maybe you're right. At the time, because Dracula, a lot of the fear in Dracula isn't this spooky man with vampire teeth gonna fucking bite us.
Yeah.
It's, oh shit, a Romanian.
Okay. Yeah, it's, It's all literally alien, as in like from
Yeah.
you know another country or you know someone not from where you're from.
Yeah. And like, you know, Frankenstein kind of has similar elements, but although in Frankenstein it's less like, because the monster isn't even really like, it's not that bad. It's more about like, shit, bro. What if science goes too far?
Yeah, true. So perhaps it's that there's a fear of the unknown element there, and that you know, I think horror's fascinating to break apart like that and see like.
I love doing that.
Yeah,
that's in my opinion what horror is best at kind of expressing is like, because most monsters, at least like at this point in like kind of later history that we would still see as like in the past, right?
Yeah.
So not like ancient history. Like I don't think people were writing about the Wendigo because they were really scared about, you know, running out of food. That's actually exactly where the Wendigo comes from. I fucked it.
Okay, I don't know what any of that means, but like, okay, I'll now
anyway,
read through
the point being that, like, you know, horror monsters traditionally kind of represent a fear of something rather than like, I'm scared that a, you know, man with spiky teeth is gonna bite me in the neck.
Yeah.
As in, you know, you might be afraid of Romanians.
And therefore, you know, maybe that's what Lovecraft had going on. He was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna."
That is literally what Lovecraft had going on.
There you go. Yeah, and he was like,
half of his stuff is, I'm afraid of the Welsh, so I've made this race of spooky fish people. It's not a joke. That is.
I know you're explaining it in a funny way. That's terrible, you know. But like, it's just when it's explained out like that, it's ridiculous. It's
it is.
So yeah, fair enough. And it does make me wonder, like, what is Frankenstein? What fear would? Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I've sort of wound up with egg on my face here because I'm thinking like, what does Frankenstein represent? What innate fear? Like, is it body horror? Is it the idea of being mutilated?
A lot of it is to do with kind of fears at the time for scientific progress in regards to like, what if we do like step too far and make something that we never wanted?
Okay.
So there's definitely some elements there.
Yeah, it's a sort of anti-progressive kind of like.
I wouldn't call it anti-progressive, but it's more about like, because like Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein,
had sex on her mother's grave.
Had sex on her mother's graves, which is important to
it's the conversation
to really talk about. But yeah, there is there's definitely. Give me a minute. This one requires me to actually use my brain.
He's tapping into that degree, everyone. 27 grand is in the works.
I really should have read Frankenstein in preparation for this episode of the podcast.
Further reading. I'll include an Amazon link to Frankenstein if anyone wants to really do the extended spooks.
Mary Shelley was someone who was concerned about, like, what it would mean if we were to defy nature in some way. But, I wouldn't call it anti-progressive at the very least.
What about? I feel like there you go. That's Frankenstein done, sorted.
I talked about Dracula too, which is really one of the reasons why I wanted to talk about. Because Dracula.
Just like Dracula.
No, I mean Bram Stoker's Dracula is good, but a lot of it does kind of feel like I am racist.
He's fucking doing it again. He's talking about Dracula again.
Look,
he just talked about it, and now he's doing it again.
The reason is because when I was at uni, I had an entire fucking course, not based on Dracula. I can't even fucking remember what the course was about. I just remember one of the essays I wrote. This is like, it was a big essay, It's a uni.
Yeah.
I think it might be the essay I got, like, second highest grades
on
man, okay. In my entire time at uni.
Wow.
It was me just getting really mad that Bram Stoker is a racist. And that was it. That was the whole thing. I was just like, this man hates Romanians.
Okay. Well, yeah, I can see you're passionate about it enough,
It's been on my mind.
I can tell. Okay, well, how about, Theola, give us one more listener tweet, and then I've got a little special answer from outside of the Twitter realm.
So, oh shit, I actually know what this one is. I thought I didn't know what this one was, but I actually do because I've just Googled it. Okay, so this was put in by Lime. Thank you, Lime.
Thank you.
And it's who put Bella in the... Is it pronounced witch? Witch elm? Who put Bella down the witch elm?
Yeah.
Okay. I think it is, yeah.
Well, I'm now going to have to do some rapid fire Googling.
Yeah, go. So, the story goes...
Yeah.
The graffiti that said "Who put Bella in the witch elm?"
Yeah.
was written in 1944
Okay.
after a discovery of one woman's. I read the story.
All right, we've only got limited time remaining in the episode, so
4 children
yeah
discovered the skeletonized remains of a woman inside a witch elm in Hagley Wood.
Okay.
In Hagley, which is in Worcestershire, England.
Okay.
And so far we know pretty much nothing about this entire thing that happened.
So wait, this is a real thing then? This isn't like
it's a real murder / disappearance / a lot of stuff.
Okay.
And this is a story that I am familiar with, but it would have been a while ago that I actually looked into it.
Yeah.
But there is like there's a lot to it. Who is Bella?
Yeah, okay, so...
The body itself was never identified.
In that case, I think I know who Bella might be.
No, but how did they know that their name was Bella?
Because they murdered them?
Maybe. But the graffiti appeared in 1944, Harry, and the murder happened in 1941.
Okay, so they waited a few years. Why would they do that? I don't want to be the guy who, tries to pick it apart. And I quite like this as a... as a myth. It's quite a spooky little phrase. It's involves death and stuff like that. It's very spooky. But at the same time, what is the mystery here? Explain it to me. What? It's the graffiti showed up after
the mystery is
body.
Who put Bella in the witch elm? That's the mystery.
Probably the guy who murdered someone and put them in.
Yeah, but we don't know who that is.
So it's like a Jack the Ripper kind of thing.
It could have been. Maybe they killed multiple people.
Maybe, and put them in other witch elms.
Other witch elms.
Yeah, I guess one of
them. Also, why would they do the graffiti?
No, murderers are all kinds of crazy, They've got all kinds of
I would agree
crazy
that.
gimmicks.
I definitely don't disagree.
What about that guy who went and tested if people's doors were locked? Go along and if they weren't locked, go stab them up. There are all kinds of weird gimmicks.
You're right. That guy believed he was a vampire. Did you?
Is this another excuse you to talk about fucking Dracula again? Is that what this is?
No.
Okay.
No.
Right. Good.
It wasn't. But now I might.
now I'm here. Let me tell you.
Yeah, they believed they were a vampire.
Okay.
And they thought that they couldn't enter people's houses if they weren't unlocked.
And so
and they believed that if your door was unlocked, it was an invitation to enter
and go murder
and
you.
Also kill you.
Yeah, I feel like this person. That doesn't. They don't pass the vibe check. That's not.
I think you would be correct. I think murderers typically don't pass the vibe check.
Anyway, moving on from that one. So yeah.
I like these kind of local mysteries, though. I like the ones that are just kind of a little spooky, just something that's never resolved, and just kind of. Pardon the pun, but haunts the local area,
Right, yeah, okay. I would agree. I mean, this one, local to Worcester. I'm sure that, there's a bridge in, is it, in Dunbar? In Dunbar, Scotland, there's a bridge, and it's the Overton Bridge in Scotland, or Overton Bridge. And it's a spooky bridge where dogs would fling themselves to their deaths in Scotland, in Dunbar. Dunbartonshire. There you go, Dunbarton. And it's one of these. I don't know. There is some scientific theory and the idea that there's mink and mice urine which dogs were sniffing and going after as a predatory response, but it was off the edge of the bridge, and so they would just mindlessly leap off the bridge. But I don't know, man, as a theory, the face value of it is that dogs are hurling themselves off of this bridge for seemingly no reason. That's mad. It's enamoring. It's really interesting, and I don't know, I guess it just tickles that sort of morbid curiosity.
It tickles the spooky centres of your brain.
The spooky centres, it does. The spooky centre being where we're recording
imagine,
this.
Actually walking across that bridge. Imagine...
Wow. Imagine walking across a bridge.
No, because the entire time I'd be thinking, am I
a dog?
Am I about to make a running jump just for no reason?
I think it was the dogs who were hurling themselves off, not the people.
Yeah, but
Am I
You
all of a
never
sudden
know.
going to be overcome with some kind of mania?
What if suddenly I have a predatory instinct
You
and
smell that urine and just go for it. You know? Anything
could happen.
Yeah. So, okay, well, there you go. There's one. And I guess, fuck it. If we've got time, if you'll indulge me, Luke.
I'd love to indulge you.
To briefly, I'm going to tell a very brief story, which comes from my friend Georgia, who I happen to be recording at their place. I'm using their facilities to record this episode.
Why are you wording? Stop talking like that.
But the point is, I was asking people. I was like, spooky stories. Like, what would be your favorite legend or myth? And basically, what they cooked up for me was a story from when they were in primary school. And
okay, as all good scary stories.
This is akin to like my story from last year of like, but even more ridiculous.
You thought you saw a dead body.
No, yeah. So basically, what it was is that Georgia was in primary school with their friend, and they had, as often happens in primary schools, various class photos from previous years, and the school is what used to be a hospital. And it's very old, lots of old photos going all the way back into like black and white pictures of classes and kids and things like that. Very old, sort of with that ghostly quality about them, with the slightly blurred faces and the spooky caveats of a spooky photo. And there's like this little row of creepy looking girls like in one of the classes. And it's like, oh, that's scary. And then Georgia and her friend go off to one of the art rooms later on that day, and there's another, for some reason I don't understand why these classrooms are just scattered around the school for some reason. And like they go to this art room and there's on the wall another one, and the two of them look and they see on the wall in this class photo, they see the same 4 girls in a row, and it has in a completely different years apart, from the original. It's the same girls. Shit. Are they vampires? Are they weird eternal beings or ghosts or specters?
Did they get held back a year?
Exactly. Was it their siblings? Oh, yeah, we don't know. But then here's the spooky. Here's the what did we say? So the haunt line, the twist of the knife.
Yeah,
is that later on that day, that the two of them, Georgia goes off to the toilet, her friend, goes and waits for her or whatever. And she comes out of the toilet and there's, like soapy handprints on the mirror. Ooh, scary. And then,
spooky. She
then exits the toilet and is like, oh, where's my friend gone? And she goes and asks someone else, like, hey, where's my friend? I thought she was around waiting for me. And the person responds, what are you talking about? They went home sick hours ago.
Oh,
bam, bam, bam.
Literally.
Like, what I was joking about earlier, yeah. That they died 15 years ago. So I don't know. I think that's a fun little. I like it when people have these little stories, a little scary. Like, obviously there's a whole bunch of like rational explanations there, but it's just a scary little personal experience.
That's kind of spooky, to be honest.
That I think is fun. So yeah, I don't know, man. What's your in that case to finally move us on then to the final phase of playing favorites? Mm-hmm. I don't know. Is your favorite spooky story? Is it something more anecdotal, or is it like a myth, or is it a work of fiction, or? So,
I'm gonna have to be really honest with you, Harry.
Okay.
I am still figuring out what my favorite scary story is.
You're a disappointment, but that's okay.
And not for lack of trying.
Oh my god, okay. You're just such a horror buff that, like, how could you ever decide?
I've been mulling it over. I'm like, I'm thinking of certain things. I'm like, do they count? Is this allowed? And then I'm like thinking of other things. I'm like, it's good, but is it my favorite? Does it, Do
you want some time to think, or are you ready now? Or?
Yeah.
Okay, so,
no, you go.
Yeah, so, okay, so my...
I know what yours is.
Do you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there is one that it almost was. Go on, what do you think? Have a guess then. If you feel like you can guess, go for
it. I think I'm probably actually wrong. But is it the Smiling Man?
You know what? I thought about it, and I thought that actually might be your answer. No, it is.
I almost had it as mine.
It is not. It's not the Smiling Man. No, the famous. It was just
creepy pasta.
Yeah, it's sort of internet, circulated around this. The person being followed home at night by a man who is doing this weird stride and smiling at them. That's the Smiling Man, right? It's just sort of a very, again, it plays on that sort of normality of like, oh, it's someone walking home at night and there's a fucking weirdo there, right? That's like the crux of it.
It's pretty scary.
Yeah, but no, it's not Smiling Man. My favourite spooky story, Luke, and I've got to think about a way of naming it that I can fit
Jesus.
into the Twitter poll. It's quite fair. Yeah, it's got a Snopes article. It's got it's a sort of recognised, scary story.
Horror.
Yeah, I'm going to go with spooky clown story. Spooky clown is what I'm going to name it in the Twitter
poll. Do you mean like the
No, well, allow me to short
incident in like 2016?
No. Allow me to tell it, Luke. Allow me to tell you a spooky story.
Okay.
I'll keep it brief. Don't worry. A couple are going away to see a show or something for the evening, and they leave their children in the hands of a babysitter.
Oh.
And all is well and good. The parents go away. They give their phone number to the babysitter. And the babysitter's there looking after the kids in the evening. They put the children to bed, and then they decide, well, I've got some time now. I want to relax, wait for the parents to get home. I might watch some TV. And there's a television in the parents' room, so they decide they want to ring up the parents and ask. They call them up and they say, hi, kids have gone to bed, everything's all well. The parents are happy to hear this. And they say, listen, I'm just here. I was just curious if it's okay if not, but is it okay if I watch some TV in your room? And the parents, they respond and say, yeah, that's fine. Of course. And the babysitter says, oh, that's great. And one more thing. Would it be okay if I put a sheet or a blanket over the statue of a clown in your room? And the person on the phone, the parent says, take the children and get out of the house. We don't have a statue of a clown. Bam, 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 bam. And, I think it's a very simple,
it is, but it is good.
But it's just and I don't know how you would relate that to like the sort of fundamental horrors, but there's something, it's a very classic feeling.
It's a home intrusion.
Yeah, exactly. It's a fear of intrusion. It's the fear of, creepy clowns. It's the fear of a normal situation going awry. It's a very, like, simple and core kind of spooky story. It's the one you would say, you tell around a campfire or on Halloween when your friends are doing that. It's that, and I think it works so well as a short, simple, but, effective and interesting ghost story or spooky story. I think it gets. No,
I would agree. I think you're right. I think it taps into, because it's one of those stories as well that's so easily malleable that you could tell it. I could just say, like, the babysitter was my friend, or, like, my sister, or my sister's friend.
Yeah, there you go. Like, you can make it relatable.
It's so easy to turn it into, this is my story.
Yeah,
and,
definitely.
Like,
and that's just fun. Like, that's like, it feels like it's part of the mythos and the culture of sharing scary stories around a campfire. And I think that's good. I'm looking at the Snopes article for it. I think it might have been like a short film based on it or something, but it's just fucking it's probably not real.
Yeah, probably not. Sounds pretty fake, huh?
It sort of talks about like potential origins and variations on the story and stuff like that. So, worth read. It's a nice little thing. And yeah, I mean, in 2014. There was the whole, like, clown thing where, like, I don't know, spooky clowns would...
That's what I thought it was going to be. Your scary story is those dang clowns that were
just, like, popping up.
Apparently.
What are they doing? Go home, scary clowns.
That was a weird time, right?
Yeah, when that was all we had to worry about as a society.
That was literally, like...
and then we...
I don't know if I would say that was all we had to worry about.
Back in those, there were simpler times, Simpler times. Back when we were just worried about spooky clowns on the road. Yeah, kids these days. So there you go. That's the kind of vibe. That's the kind of wavelength that I'm on. What are you thinking? I don't know how I could ever guess yours. What?
I think you actually could.
Yeah.
Because I've gone through it. I've thought about it, and I have my answer.
Okay.
I'm not even necessarily happy with it, but I know I have it.
Okay.
Let me clarify a few things. I love cryptids. Okay.
Do you want to explain what a cryptid is for those who may not be in the know?
Yes, I will. I love aliens as well. I love the idea of, like, beings that exist among humanity and with us somewhere in the wild that are not fundamentally understood by the scientific community.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't believe in cryptids. Let's get that out the way.
Yeah, but they're fun stories.
Yeah, I love the idea that they could exist. And as much as I would love to say cryptids are my favourite spooky story, that doesn't make any sense.
It was a little bit broad, yeah.
So, my answer instead, and you might be upset with this one, Harry.
I feel like, as is always the case with playing favourites, that's fine.
My favourite scary story is Slender Man.
Okay.
He's not even a real cryptid.
Yeah, I could have seen this coming from a mile away. Yeah, no, you're right. I know you like Slender Man. Yeah. Okay.
It's such... Because that's... I remember when I was, like... I must have been, like, 14.
Yeah.
I was genuinely obsessed
and, like,
with Slender
the game
Man.
came out. And, like, yeah.
It was...
Is that why you asked about video games? Because you wanted to see if you could have the game?
No.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't going to say Slender, no.
Okay.
But it's such a perfect, like... Because, so for those who don't know, Slender Man himself originated, I believe, on the Something Awful forums.
Oh, okay. I thought it was like a local legend. Did. Okay.
No, it wasn't. It was entirely, like, the basis was from, the internet. Like, he has come from the internet, and the original pictures were, like, black and white pictures of like a playground, I believe, and then in the background you can see Slender Man. And all this kind of lore developed from these pictures.
Oh, wow.
And I love the way that it's just so exponentially grown from there to now, like, there are people who you believe that it was a local
I thought
legend.
It was a real thing, not just something a dude came up with.
You thought Slender Man was real.
I thought he was a real man, you know? But no.
I thought Slender Man was a real being who existed. It's fascinating to me, because, like, again, I think I see Slender Man as this kind of perfect encapsulation of the kind of cryptid horror, right?
Yeah.
The idea of, like, beings that exist and interact with humanity, but we cannot interact with them, right? Like, they avoid us and they evade us in their own ways. And I see Slender Man's kind of existence, which obviously is not real. But I don't believe in Slender Man.
Thank you for clarifying.
But, like, the idea that, like, you know, something like that could exist really compels me. I find that really interesting.
Yeah.
Again, I just, you know, Bigfoot's not real. Wendigos aren't real. Chupacabra's not real. Mothman
was almost my favourite, you know?
Yeah, I could believe that. Mothman's really
He's
cool.
like a spooky Mothman who appears when something's
I love the fact about Mothman. Just, the thing about Mothman is it's not like... He's not scary at all. He's kind
of a hero. He's like, oh, look, there's Mothman. There's about to be a natural disaster. Look out.
He just exists.
Yeah.
I like Mothman.
Yeah, Mothman's good. He gets a good... I think he can have a nice shared honourable mention between the two of us.
Mothman, the joint favourite.
Yeah, there you go. But Slender Man as a whole, I think he's great. I think, again, is a good distillation of, like, you know, a lot of sort of horror ideas and, as a representation of cryptids and, you know, scary things in media. You know, it definitely has to be one of the most famous sort of, spooky legends or, you know, characters.
He's entirely from the internet.
Yeah, and some dude just came up with him on a forum.
He's also not public domain.
Oh, really? Is it still the original guy who...
It's Eric Knudsen.
Good for you, Eric Knudsen.
The guy who wrote that original Something Awful post.
There's having, like, a movie as well.
There's a movie. The movie's already out, I think.
Damn. Go see it.
Came out in 2018.
Probably not in cinemas. Don't
Came
go to
out
cinema.
3
Get
years
it on
ago.
the internet.
I don't think it was really well regarded either.
I assume the movie is just like people go into woods, spooky Slenderman time. People leave woods.
Yeah, people try and summon Slenderman. I wouldn't do that.
Maybe that could be a good, you know, if we ever set up like a Patreon for the podcast specifically, we could do...
We're going to try and summon Slenderman.
Yeah, maybe that might be a good...
The Slenderman movie has an approval rating of 8 on Rotten Tomatoes.
Out of what, 10?
Oh, out of 100.
Out of 100. Okay. Yeah, I feel like it may have been a little bit wide on the mark there. 3.2 out of 10 on IMDb. You know, they had a good honest stab at it. Can't fault them for that.
I love this quote. Slenderman may be thin, but he's positively robust compared to the flimsy assortment of scares generated by the would-be chiller.
Okay, well, you know...
What? What the fuck?
A true scathing remark on that one.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Slender Man is actually big compared to this
This
small
shitty
movie.
Yeah, okay. Oh, it's on Netflix. So yeah, maybe I'll give this one a watch. Maybe, yeah. But,
He is really long, though. To be fair,
he is quite slender.
He's very slender.
A very slender man. So,
do you have a favourite crypt? Oh wait,
do you want to try that sentence
save
again?
that for next time.
Oh, favourite cryptid.
Save that for next time.
Yeah. Well, we can't really do favourite cryptid because I know what your answer would be.
It's not Slender Man.
Well, don't tell me what it is though.
It's not Mothman either.
Don't give me clues.
I'm narrowing it down. There's only so many left.
Save it for. Well, I already know what I want to do next year. Save it for 2023. Yeah.
All right.
Hold on to it.
Okay,
Or maybe 2022, depending on the mood.
A while, then.
You know, we'll see.
I could say it now and you'd
No.
probably forget. It'd also probably change.
You know what? We don't need to. Look, we're coming towards the end of the podcast. We're going to end.
Okay, you're right.
Relatively immediately. So,
relatively immediately.
yes, because like, I don't know. I don't want to rush things. You know, I feel like because you did a different like spooky intro. I feel like I've got to do like a spooky intro,
outro.
but I haven't pre-prepared anything. Okay, well, thank you, brave explorers of the spook realm, for spookily enduring our trials and tribulations of various horror, scary, ghoulish themes and ideas and conversation. If you would like more scares and spooks, then
But the most of the episodes aren't scary though.
yeah, but they can come back next year.
Oh, okay. If you listen once a year,
Yeah, you know, if you want like regular bullshit of people sharing opinions, yeah, come back in like a couple of weeks. But like, if you want, you know, I feel like I'm not really marketing the podcast on its strengths here, am I? Like, I feel like this is
you're trying to market it as like scary.
Okay, you know, I'm just gonna stick to the regular outro. However, I'm gonna point out that Luke, what episode was last year's Halloween special?
What
like
episode
number?
was last
What
year?
number?
13.
Yeah. What episode number is this episode?
31. Is it 31?
It's 31. Episode 30 was Crisps.
Oh shit.
Have you noticed a correlation
That's
there?
spooky, bro.
It's episode 13 and episode 31.
It actually is opposite day.
See,
Fuck, we should have committed to doing everything backwards.
everything being all weird and distorted and twisted.
Been so good.
And you know, it's a whole spooky. Oh, what do the numbers mean? Oh, you know, it's thematic planning or something. I don't know, but yeah.
God, why didn't we commit to that, Harry?
I don't know. Maybe I should have told you this earlier. Point is that people can follow us on Twitter at PlayFavorites. We tweet out whenever we're doing an episode, and you can tweet in with whatever your favourite thing is in the particular topic. We like to feature them on the show, as you probably know by this point. It's all very exciting. We like hearing what people have to say about stuff. It's good. It's a good time. And also you can email in playingfavouritespodcast@gmail.com with anything you like. You can email in with episode suggestions, your favourite spooky stories you may know. Anecdotes would be a good one. There's all kinds of spooky, spookalicious, and extremely normal things.
Spookalicious.
I just want to use that. I just like the word spooky. It's just like such a.
I also enjoy the word spooky.
It's like it's a quite a heterological word in that like it's.
What the fuck did you just say?
Heterological. So like
you can't do that.
It doesn't mean the word isn't what it is. So like for example, the word unhyphenated would be ontological.
It does not have a hyphen.
No, is it ontological? Something like that. Orthological. Yeah, it is not hyphenated. It is the word unhyphenated is unhyphenated, and the opposite of that is heterological, which is, for example, the word hyphenated isn't hyphenated, and the word spooky isn't very spooky. I don't think so. I find it cute. There you go. What a weird little. Why have we snuck this weird little rant into the outro? I wonder if that'll make it in. Yeah. Anyway,
I have a feeling I might already know the answer.
Anyway, look. The point is,
I could say anything right now. I'm in negative.
Yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. So,
podcast.
Good podcasting, everyone. Mainly me and Luke, since we're the ones who did the podcasting.
You guys did alright.
You guys, listener, you did a good job as well. Very, like you
honestly, if you made it this far, you've done a great job listening.
I would agree. Gold star.
Hold on, I gotta do the pop quiz first, and then
yeah, we're gonna do the assessment on this episode to see if you guys are actually paying attention. Yeah, I think that's.
This is where we would say we would ask something really scary.
Oh no, it's where we would say we'd have a secret word halfway through, and we would ask the listener to repeat the word or email in with the word or something like that.
And if you say it 3 times in the mirror, playing favourites man appears.